Welcome everyone to the 12th edition of Lawn Care Skull Sessions. I'm your bearded lawnsman BJ, and next to me is my mate Benny from Petro and Greenscape Solution, here with the number 12. What's going on, man? Just cruising through them.
12th episode. Pretty excited about today's episode. Can I tell everyone what we're talking about?
Yeah, of course you can.
Okay, so we are going to be talking about equipment, maintenance, and repairs. We're just going to give you some tips and tricks, or at least emphasize what should be done.
Yep.
Maybe what shouldn't be done.
Yeah.
And, just shed some light on what we've done in the past. And, not everyone, I guess, has the time to be able to do all these things. But if you can take some of these points and, at least look at it, it's definitely going to be something that's a positive.
Yeah, 100%.
But first, I think we've got a little bit of housekeeping to do.
We do. We're up on the reviews now. We know where to find them.
So we had, obviously last week we found the reviews for our podcast. We didn't know that they existed.
There was like 16 or 17 reviews we had no idea of. Some of them comments weren't left, but yeah, there was some good ones there. But I do have to make a correction to Uncle Scotty out there. I did mention that it was Scotty No Beard, and it actually was Scott Dennis. So he made sure I knew.
Yeah, different Scotty. Sorry about
different
that.
Scott. Too many Scotties. No, Scotty Mo, man. He's I should have known. He's rolling around on a tiger cat. So yeah, but we got 2 new reviews, both 5-star. One from Karagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagagag
of said that exactly how it's spelled.
Pretty good, eh? Amazing insight into the lawn and gardening industry. Always so knowledgeable, and new producer is A++. That sucked.
One more time.
Woo! Thanks, man.
Don't forget, we've got another review to get to, but don't forget that, and it's great to hear that comment. New producer is great, but we still want someone to review BJ's reviewing skills.
Yeah, it's
so one more.
Yeah, one more. So Kingfisher Chris. I've noticed him pop up on Instagram, I'm pretty sure. I've liked him on my Bearded Lawnsman page, and I jumped on and followed him on the Lawn Care Skull Sessions page. But great podcast, lots of relevant info for people looking at starting a lawn care business. Cheers, Chris. Thanks, brother. Thanks for following.
Thank you.
Thank you for the review.
Thank you for everyone who has left us a star rating review and an actual rating. That's what helps keep the ball rolling for us.
It does, yeah.
Because if we were getting shitful reviews or, bad star ratings, we'd probably be like, people don't really like us.
I wouldn't be coming here straight after work and having a pool share at Benny's house.
Yeah, that's it. And look, while we're on this subject, what I also would like people to do now, our YouTube audience is very engaging, lots of comments.
Yeah.
BJ and I are in the comments section to reply.
Yep.
So that's great. But what we want you to do is we want you to hit the subscribe button. So that'll notify you when new podcasts drop. We also have some new content rolling in with Catch Pro. We've got our Pro Shield shoot blockers that are just coming out. I did do my first fitment video.
Yep.
It was a tough video to shoot by yourself, but I do think I got the point across.
Yeah.
There'll be new content dropping, and there'll be nice images on the website.
Yeah,
but if you hit that subscribe button, it'll notify you when we have new content dropping, and that also helps let us know that people are interested in the content. So. Is that all the housekeeping we got to do? Actually, no. I want to give Mark Ladaway a quick shout out. I'm pretty sure we bumped heads
Probably.
in the past, but he gave an awesome breakdown of our podcast.
Yep.
Along with the Aussie Lawn Stars podcast, and highlighted the differences. I think he nailed it right on the head. And I did want to apologise. I still don't have the Walker sign in the background. Been a little lazy. For anyone who's viewing, I'm sorry. We will get that on
It's
there.
not laziness, it's time. We just don't have time.
Yeah,
I literally came here straight from work and jumped in the pool to have a quick shower so I didn't look like a bum. And then...
Did it work?
No, I don't think so.
And I put on the loudest t-shirt in the
Yeah.
world.
We match.
This, you know what? Skag could come out with like a really loud shirt like this.
I
You
really
know,
want him to.
that'd look cool.
Do you think I'd fit into that?
Into this specific one? I tell you what, if anyone wants to see BJ try and fit into one of my t-shirts on the podcast,
Yeah.
let us know that. That would be that was just a quick little sidebar.
I'm doing it. It'll look like I'm wearing a crop top. Turtle, as always, brother, thank you for all your feedback and everyone who reached out to me after the episode on me. Thank you. Really appreciate all your comments and feedback and yeah. No, it was really nice, man. Like lots of people came to the party and yeah.
We might, obviously your business is still growing, your story is still evolving. We there might even be a part 2 to
Maybe.
that. In season 2, if we make it that far, we'll see.
How many episodes are we doing in a season?
I don't know, because the way that I thought about it was, let's drop an episode a week, and what's the point? Like, you might as well have a 52 episode season.
Yeah.
What's the point on breaking it down?
That's it.
At a point and being like, okay, this is season 2.
Yeah, true.
We're not going to have a break. We're going to keep bringing content. We're going to be filming over Christmas. We'll drop a Christmas episode. That'll be awesome. So, all right, let's get into today's topic.
Sweet.
So, BJ, when we're talking about maintenance and repairs, the regularity, straight off the bat is probably the most important thing.
Yeah.
If you're the whole point of maintenance is that it's regular, right?
Yeah, 100%.
So if you do it, like if you change your blades on your mower like every 3 months, that's not maintenance.
No, when you start to find that your performance in your machines are dropping and then you do the maintenance, that's not maintenance. That's just trying to save yourself, really.
And what we're trying to do on this episode is shed some light. We can definitely share some of our experiences with our maintenance schedules, but definitely off the bat, I reckon let's talk about regularity and schedules. Now, for everyone out there, we know we've got a large push mowing audience of solo operators that are doing the 10 to 15 lawns a day, and a lot of that audience probably has a schedule down pat. They that if they're doing that much work with a push mower, they probably know what they need to be doing.
Yeah.
But for any new guys and girls starting out, I know when I was doing the 10 to 12 lawns a day, 5 days a week, I know that I would just do my blades on my push mower.
Yep.
Every week.
No, I was maybe every other week.
Every second week?
Every second week, yeah. Yeah, I don't know if I was doing as many as you, but you had 2 guys pretty much by the time I mean,
we were doing a lot of push mowing back then.
Yeah.
We are going to come back to mowers.
Yeah.
We're just trying to get our heads around the regularity and the maintenance schedules. I think, if you can dedicate 1 or 2 hours a week to going over your gear, then you can. If you do that consistently, I think you can dwindle that down to about an hour. Yeah. By the time if you keep doing that regularly, it'll come down.
Obviously, bigger jobs, like if you're going to take all your blades off, because I've got 2 0 turns, it might take me a bit longer than an hour to pull all the blades off, sharpen them. But you just. That's not something you have to do every week unless you really want to. Like I can get 2 weeks out of a set of blades, maybe even. Well, it depends on hours. It depends how many.
Yeah, I mean it's going to be and obviously guys and girls in WA with those sandy conditions, they've complete whole different game. Also, people north of Brisbane in the tropics. I mean, I don't even know. Like I couldn't imagine doing grass thicker than the South Queensland stuff that we're doing.
I couldn't imagine. Yeah,
imagine in North Queensland.
Yeah, we think we've got some thick lawns here. I can't even imagine what's going on up there. They've had just a tremendous amount of rain.
Yeah. So well, let's actually start with your hedge trimmers.
Okay.
So you've got your hand hedge trimmers. Let's just include pole hedge trimmers.
Yeah.
What are some of the key points to maintenance, keeping these things running?
Yeah. Okay. So, well, most of your hedger, your whippersnipper, and things like that, they all basically have the same components. So, your air filters, your fuel filters, things like that. But with hedges, you've got the blade sharpening to worry about. The greasing of the gearbox,
super important.
I know you've got greasing on a snipper a gearbox as well, but
your hedge trimmer gearbox is like super important.
I only just found out that whippersnippers have a grease point in the gearbox not too long ago. So
now, while we're talking about grease, the greasing the gearbox of your hedge trimmer.
Yeah.
Now, everyone, you have to be disciplined in two ways. Okay, you have to do it regularly. But don't overfill that motherfucker.
Yeah.
Because I have been a huge culprit of that.
Yeah.
And, I guess the downside is that when you've just got too much in there, she's just going to be regurgitating it out.
Yeah. Blow that seal.
So what's ideal? What do you do? Like, you do a ton of hedging, right? And I know you're using battery stuff now, so it's hard to gauge the hours.
Yeah, but, and it's dropped the maintenance. Like, I don't have to worry about air filters and things like that now.
Oh, look, we can probably touch on that stuff a little bit. But as far as greasing the gearbox goes, how many pumps, how regular, what are you doing?
I'll just, like a lot of people use Shindaiwa. So when I had the Shindaiwa, the T230 or whatever back in the day.
Yeah.
Those gearboxes have sort of gone along. So I would probably give it two and a bit pump, maybe every week.
Yeah.
To week. You can kind of hear it. It's kind of the same as like a whippersnipper cord. You know how you...
Yeah, you can hear the chatter.
The chatter gets really, really...
Well, I gotta be honest. That's really disciplined because I was probably a minimum of 5 pumps a week.
Right, yeah, that's
minimum.
But at one stage,
you can't help yourself.
Yeah.
It's like you do 1, 2, and then you're like, nah, 3, 4, 5,
and then you hear the.
No, okay. So let me just say this to anyone that's new, that is starting to do this or whatever the case is. You don't want to blow that seal.
No,
because it's just something about the way that they're set from the manufacturers. It doesn't matter what you try and do, it's never the same once you blow that seal. So you got to be super disciplined. I still think 5 pumps is sufficient. Maybe between 2 to 5 pumps weekly if you're using that thing regularly.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about when you first pick up the machine. So we're talking mostly about weekly maintenance, right? But when you first pick up that machine and when you drop at the end of the day, what are we doing?
Well, for me, I've got a cleaner and a lubricant that I use when I'm finished my hedging day.
Yep.
I'd use the WD-40 stuff.
Yep.
There's tons of products out there like Briggs & Stratton. Still, they all have their own thing. So I just use the WD-40 ones because, like most Australians, I'm at Bunnings every fucking 2 days, so it's always readily available. But yeah, it's just a cleaner. It's a natural product, so it like doesn't hurt your hedges and things like that.
As if we give a crap anyway, eh?
I saw one the other day on LMCA page and it was fucking cooked.
Oh, okay.
Oh, it was like it was cooked on top.
But you do hear of guys using like acid and all sorts of stuff to strip their blades. But
a lot of guys use canola oil and stuff to lubricate. Like lots of different things out there you can use. But
I won't get too far into it. But look, I have had an experience before. I found a chemical. This is years and years and years back. I was a lot younger. I found a chemical. Might have been like in my neighbour's yard, and it was like some sort of stripper, like a. I don't know, it was some sort of like acid, and it cleaned the blades beautifully, but it like took the protective hardening layer off the steel,
Jesus.
and I completely fucked my blades.
Fuck was it?
It might have been like something to like clean your mags or like something like that. So do your research. I think if you're doing your maintenance regularly, you don't need this heavy duty stuff.
No.
Like I know sometimes when I call you, I can, when you're wearing your headphones and you're just talking to me, I can hear you doing stuff, and I know you've got a wire brush on your blades on site.
Yeah. Well, I don't always do a wire brush now, so I've kind of changed. Like when I've done something really sappy, then I'll hit it with a wire brush really lightly. But I just use like a normal thing from a normal brush from a dustpan and brush now.
Yep.
It seems to sweep the majority off.
Yep.
And I'm not just running this metal thing up and down the blades. Especially with like new hedges. I don't know what kind of protective coating they have on them. So
yeah. Now people might think that this sounds extreme, but the reason why you do it is because when you get that sap build up on your actual cutting edge, it's essentially like it coats on there and it removes that cutting edge.
Yeah.
You've got like, muck on there.
Yeah.
And so that's why you clean and scrape as you go.
And for some, like, it'd probably slow down your rotation too, having that much stuff in between it.
Absolutely.
Sap,
it's nowhere the hedge trimmer is not going to be anywhere near as effective with all that muck in there. Now, everyone, I don't know if this works for everyone, but it totally works for me. One of the best ways and most efficient ways to clean your hedge trimmer blades is if it's been pissing down raining, find a Mower hedge, like a mock orange hedge, spray your blades with just WD-40 and just trim that hedge.
Yeah.
And it cleans them, man, to like samurai swords.
Yeah.
That's just one, thing
that lavender works as well.
Okay.
I did a few lavender hedges with rubby blades, and by the time I was finished, they were like schmick, like brand new. So I guess it's the oils and things like that come out of the lavender.
It's crazy. So look, I would probably say it's more important. Like a lot of people will get the WD-40 out before a job.
Yeah.
But really, it's more important afterwards.
Yeah.
Because that's when you want to get the muck off.
Yeah, and it's supposed to be like a rust inhibitor. So
yeah, of course.
You pay a lot of money for these tools. You want them to last as long as they possibly can. So
and it sounds extreme, but to quickly spray it and quickly brush it at the end of a pretty gnarly job. Like I'm not talking at the end of jobs. I'm talking about at the end of a day hedging.
Yeah.
Takes you 2 minutes?
Yeah, if that.
And it's really going to help you out.
Even if you just spray it with a cleaner, run it for a couple of seconds, and then
just keeping things lubed.
Yeah,
right?
just hit it with like a Lanox or a lanolin spray or some just whatever, cooking oil, fucking whatever you want.
Yep. Now, while we're there, let's talk about blade sharpening. Yeah, these are your hedger blades. Now, this is not something that we necessarily did on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Maybe 3 or 4 times a year is what we would do. I got
into it a little bit more.
I mean, hey, look, like I said, when you're sharpening these things, sometimes it's not a case of sharpening. Sometimes it's just a case of removing the muck.
Yeah.
And exposing your leading edge, like the cutting edge.
Yeah, just taking the burrs off, really.
Can you walk everyone through what your general process is, what tool you use, and the general process of how you do it?
Yeah, so with mine, normally if I've got a bit more time, I'll do a full service. I'll take the back off the gear casing, I'll clean out all the muck, because they're quite simple once you get inside them. Well, the old school ones are. So I would just take the blades out and I would just sit there with my Dremel with it's just a grinding stone bit, and I would just quickly just take that little bit of an edge off, and it's perfect. Like it's like a brand new hedger. Like it just changes it completely. And then I'd pack the gearbox with grease and put it all back together, and it's like a brand new hedger.
Yep. Now, can we touch on, like, I know we do this, we do that same process a couple of times a year. Sometimes we bypass taking the whole gearbox apart.
Yeah.
And we just take the bolts off the blades, and I used to have like this mad little packer that I could put in between them where it wouldn't flex them too much, but you could just pack them enough just so that you could really get in there without having the blade fully separated.
Yeah.
But one thing with certain brands, and Shindewa was a huge culprit of this, you could just never set those nuts back. The lock nuts and the bolts. Now, I don't know, I'm not Mr. Handyman.
No.
But it's another thing where they're set a certain way from factory that is perfect.
Yeah.
And it's very difficult to get that.
Yeah, so on my earlier models of Shindewa, I definitely had that problem. When I went to the dedicated pole hedger, they had spaces in it, and it changed it completely for me.
So I don't know what it's like now, but I know all of the Still multi-tool, they all had those spaces.
Yeah.
And what it means is that you can crank up the lock nuts tight. There's no biting point.
Oh,
you can just lock them up tight, and that spacer is going to prevent the blades from pinching.
Yeah.
Because what was happening on the Shindewas was you'd crank them up, and if you didn't have that sweet spot, they would seize.
For about 6 months, I'd walk around with 2 10 mils in my pocket.
I've
jingle,
been
jingle, jingle.
I've been there, and there was two things. One, they would loosen, and so what happens is the gap in between your blades becomes more.
Yep.
And then everything's ripping rather than cutting.
And then you get shit stuck in it.
And then you get the ones where they self tighten.
Yeah.
And you hear you go from the brrr to the and it's just bloody horrible. But so can you talk to me about using a flappy disc on a grinder?
I just I don't even go near. I know some people like to do it, and that's up to them. I don't like it because I'm afraid that I'm going to take too much meat off that blade, and it's just going to become just a piece of shit. Or I'm going to put the wrong angle on it, or with the Dremel, it's just a very light touch, just a sweep across. Doesn't take too much meat off, and I don't have to worry about throwing a flappy disc in there and fucking chewing into the back piece or something like that. Yeah,
so with a flappy disc, like I've found, I've seen results, and it's a very quick process.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot less room for error.
Yeah.
Like if you are really not concentrating, or you don't have a good style, you can really change the shape of that cutting edge. Yeah. And once you've done that, I think also, like once you've done that a few times, you're taking off way too much more. Like you don't need to take off a lot of meat. No, because once you take off too much meat, you've got a gap.
Yeah.
It's going to create chatter, and it's going to create rippage on the leaves.
Yep.
That's why we like to use a Dremel, or I tell you what, my worker Rusty, he will still use a file.
Oh, really?
He is old school. Don't get me wrong, he can get amongst the Dremel as well.
Yeah.
But if it's like a full mad rainy day and everything, he'll have everything jigged up, and he'll still use a file, because it's not about, like, you want to take off minimal meat.
It's basically just taking off the imperfections on that edge, and all it needs is a swipe. And not only that, is the way that the blade has a curve at the back.
Yeah.
You can't touch that with a flappy, if you like. It's just a very hard spot to get into. With the Dremel, I actually went from using a stone bit that was a little bit smaller than a 5-cent coin in diameter, to using they have chainsaw bits now that are tiny to do your chainsaws.
And I know exactly which ones you're talking about.
Perfect.
They're a lot more durable, right?
Yeah,
like you can get a lot more touches, I guess, out
with
of
the
it.
stones.
They wear, don't they?
They do wear.
Yeah.
But I mean, they're cheap as chips. Like.
Oh yeah, I mean, but you got to have them on hand.
Yeah. That's it.
Okay, cool. So hopefully that explains, the critical points on your hedge trimmers.
Yeah.
Guys that do a lot of hedging, I think it's important. It's probably one tool that we've messed with. I mean, obviously you have your regular maintenance on your push mowers, which is very important. But I'd say almost just as important is those hedge trimmers.
Mate, the amount of hedging I do at the moment, So I have a couple of hedge trimmers. I use a Petro one to knock hedges down.
What brand is that?
So I've got a Bush Ranger MT262. It's a multi-tool, and it's a fucking weapon. Like, it gets through everything, man. So I love that for knocking down all the big shit, but it's also got a nice cut, so I can finish with it as well. Like, I can do a face with it, and then I can knock the top off. I've got the Ego pole hedger.
Yep. The telescopic.
The telescopic one.
So that's you probably just use that mostly to get to tall shit.
Yeah, and I've got heaps of really, really wide hedges that I was really my back was getting fucked up. Like, you know how bad your back will get. So I would be reaching out with something like the bushy, and it's just too heavy to get all the way across.
Oh, that's the Mariami.
Yeah,
head.
yeah, the big beast.
Yeah, so that's being remodeled now. But that Mariama head, I mean, leaves a beautiful cut, but you almost have to be Superman to use that.
Yeah, well, that's why I got the guns that I got. Which put me through the workout. But no, it's a good unit. But yeah, it's just so important to get the results that we get. Like, we really have to put in a lot of effort to keep the hedges the way they are.
And having your equipment up to speed
makes it so much easier. Yep. There's nothing worse than having to double cut a fucking hedge. That's just
all right, so I reckon that's, look, what we will do is so on the hedge trimmer, obviously you have your blades and your gearboxes. You also have all your normal components. Yeah. You just want to make sure those carbies stay clean, your air filters stay clean.
Yeah.
I think that's probably about it.
Yeah. And replace things when they get old, man. That's one thing that I learned to do. I had my first set of gear, and you know what? My first set of gear lasted me a long time, and I was pretty mean to it. And then I got my second set of gear, and I was like, nah, I'm going to look after this properly. And I started, like, every 6 months I'd buy a brand new set of filters, both air and fuel for everything, and just, I don't know.
I mean,
if I can fast track someone to that.
Yeah. I mean, look, now that I'm on the battery train, like, I'm not messing with any petrol hedges. I haven't for almost 18 months now.
Yep.
I don't even want to look at one.
Yeah.
So now that I'm sort of on that battery train, the maintenance has come down a lot.
Yeah.
And I've really only got to mess with the blades and gearboxes.
Yeah.
So you guys and girls out there that's still running petrol, that's cool. But yeah, you just got to keep up, keep looking at your fuel lines, your carbies, and your air filters.
Yep.
All right, what's next on the list, dude?
Schnippies. Bippy bips.
What are they?
Bippers.
Bippy bippers.
Bipper dippers.
For anyone out there that doesn't know, if you ever hear BJ say, or if you physically see it written, because I've seen you write it.
Yeah, I always go, what's that mean?
A bipper dipper is a whippersnipper, right? Yeah. And should I tell them the story?
Yeah, tell them the story.
So, sidebar, for anyone that wants to know why BJ is calling these things bip dips or bipper dippers, years and years and years back, I jumped on board with another contractor, Tyson Wilson from Brisbane, good bloke to work for, and we were just out mowing, I think over the north side of Brisbane somewhere. Anyway, we got approached by an Indian, and he wanted his lawn mowed, and his English was ordinary, and he was saying, I want you to mow, and can you please use the bipper dipper? And we were just like I was in stitches straight away. And we're like, what would you like, sir? And he's like, the bip dip. And we're like, what? And he's like, the bipper dipper. And
just stuck.
And he legit could not say whippersnipper, this dude. Then he proceeded to tell us, like, the formula that he wanted it. So he's like, first you bip dip, then you mow, then you blow. And obviously it hung with me forever. And, has leaked over to you. And one thing that was always funny is when we get new workers, you'd be like, yeah, mate, just jump on the bip. And they're like, you can see them, they're like, and they're like, fuck, I've got to explain to him what that is.
It's just puzzle town.
Okay, so bipper dipper maintenance.
Yeah, it's all about the same as your hedger with your air filter, fuel filter, all that shit.
And realistically, the gearbox is fuck all.
Yeah.
Like just one pump of grease like a fucking year.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I fucking had no idea that they had grease holes.
Yeah, I've always known, but it's like you don't need to mess with them.
Never knew, and I've never had an issue.
So air filters, and you know, probably your carbies. Like I can't stress enough. You got to keep those carbies clean, and don't mess with them too much.
But
Just with a little compressor and a little bit of spray.
Yeah.
I think just don't mess around with the screws and fucking change idles and all sorts of shit.
Yeah.
I mean, I think these days a lot of them, like on the old 260s and stuff, you could manually do the fuel and air mixture.
Yeah.
And once you got good at it, it was good.
Yeah.
I don't think now you can have. I don't think you can make those adjustments anymore.
I think all the emissions control has taken that out of our hands.
Actually, is that that little bit of mesh on the exhaust? Is that the spark arrestor?
That's a spark arrestor.
We should probably touch on that for anyone new.
Well, I mean, especially anyone with a still, if they're having trouble starting it.
I think it's everything now.
Is it? Well, I mean, that's the first thing I do when I get machines.
Yeah, I don't always. I mean, I don't get like a lot of new machines anymore.
Yeah, I lose them straight away. I just couldn't be bothered being out in the field and having it.
So we'll explain it to anyone that doesn't know. On the exhausts, you'll see when they're brand new, you'll see usually on the exhaust there'll be some sort of gasket and there'll be like a mesh.
Yeah.
Like some mesh there. And that's there to collect all the carbon, right? That's what it does?
Yeah. Stops sparks from coming through and starting fires. And
it's there to fuck your life.
It's seriously, that's all it'll do. There has been, obviously that's there for a reason. But...
You know what it is? It's a fucking scam for the dealers. I mean, it's not really, but they obviously use it to their advantage. But essentially, like after about 20 hours of use, your machine will start bogging down.
Yeah. But as if a dealer
start going like,
fucking come back in and be like, oh, help me.
That's the exact noise, eh?
Yeah.
Brr.
Yeah, it just gets so sad. It's like pumping and all of a sudden it's just like, I can't breathe.
So anyway, a lot of guys will just pull them out.
Yeah.
You don't have to. You can blow torch them, clean them, and do what take down to the dealer, pay $80 to get them to do it, or you can just fucking heave it straight over your back shoulder.
Yeah.
So that's on all carbureted machines.
Yeah.
Just a heads up there. Now on your whippersnipper, I think the carbies are super important.
Yeah.
Like I know, if you used to, like I used to have my machines out in the weather.
Yeah.
In the rain, and if the air filters get super wet, and then like you start getting around dust, it just forms like a muck on those filters.
Yeah, what happened a couple of weeks ago for me, I was working in the rain, snipping, and it choked out because it got wet.
Yeah.
It got full.
And I know what I've done in the past when I wasn't as educated as what I would be now is I'll be like, okay, fuck it, I'm just going to use it today without the air filter, to get me through. And then, time goes past and it's been a week and you're like, oh, well, fuck it, And then... you end up with all sorts of carbies issues because you underestimate the amount of dust that thing sucks in.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So it's really important to stay on top of your carbies. Don't leave I wouldn't leave any machines in the rain anymore. Like and this is probably going to sound like a cheap plug, but the dry wraps that we have available at Catch Pro are so awesome if anyone's storing machines outside because... It keeps the hot sun off your fuel lines.
Yep.
And it also keeps, all the rain and everything out of your carbies, cables, all of that stuff.
It keeps them looking nicer for longer too. How they get that dusty, like it'll change colour.
Yeah, sun bleach.
Yeah. So it does keep them better
sun bleach like my grey hair, eh?
Like my beard. My beard is getting a bit blonde in the middle.
Oh yeah, man. You got like heaps of flavours in there.
Yeah, that's what the barber said. I actually started going to the barber and she's like, geez, you got a few colours through here. I'm like, yeah, okay.
My barber is like an Asian dude and he just like, very grey.
Compliment City.
Yeah, like you can tell like his English is, just enough to get him by.
Yeah.
And then like he'll be like, do you want your mustache? gone? And I'll be like, nah, leave the stash. And he's like, oh, it's okay, no good.
You've been going to him for a long time, eh?
Yeah. He said I got good, strong hair.
Yeah, good on you.
Yeah, very good, strong hair.
Not over here. I didn't get any of those genes.
You get cut at me, if I said expose it.
Yeah, it's fucked.
Let us know if you want to see BJ without his fucking hat on.
So I'm always wearing a hat.
So, all right. Back into the show, eh?
Yeah.
What's happening next?
Mowers. Push mowers, specifically.
Push mowers. Who would push one of them?
Fuck.
Jesus. No, we've all been there,
We
and it's a
all there.
part of
It's
our
still
industry.
there. It's 100% still on my books. But yeah, basics again. So air filters, not so much fuel filters, but
Air filters are super important on push mowers.
Especially
everyone, please clean them out.
It's so easy to clean too. Like you can literally, if you go, oh shit, I need to clean my air filter, you can just tap it out on the side of the road on a gutter. Just that will save you, maybe give you a couple of more years life in your engine. But
yeah, absolutely.
Obviously, get your servicing into like a routine. Once you're in the industry for a while and you've done a bit of servicing, you'll know how long you'll go between actually changing your oil and things.
Yeah, I mean, I know. It was always satisfying to me when, like, because with my push mower, I'd clean the deck, I'd do my air filter, I'd obviously do the blades and oil, and then I'd just give them like a little friendship wipe down.
Yeah,
and then it's just like, I guess if it's a really old machine, then you're kind of polishing a turd, but when it's like a semi-new machine, and you give it, like let's say it's a Saturday morning. That's what I used to do when I started my family, and I had no life anymore. The girls would do it with me,
That's
right?
True.
And so you give them a rag, and you're like, and I used to give them like a little spray bottle. I'd just be like, if you spray the spark plug, I'll smack you.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Hey, that's something we didn't mention on the other machines, the spark plug.
Yeah, so I'm sorry about that.
It's not very often. No, it's not very often. Like I've had the same spark plug in my Shindaiwa T262 for like the last 3 years. So
I'd say don't mess with the spark plugs until you have an issue.
It's
I think
you can get them out, throw a wire brush across them, make sure the terminal's clean. But
like I've had some absolute shockers before, where like say my 2-stroke whippersnipper is just clogging up the spark plug.
Yeah.
And then let's say my Shindaiwa backpack, the ED803 or whatever it is, it's bloody called. I've had that thing for like 7 years and we've never done the plug.
Yeah.
And she's still humming.
I still have the plug in mine. I've had mine for like 5 years now.
So. Ours is kind of semi-retired now. We got the bushy now, but I mean, geez, it still probably did half a decade of continuous work. So anyway, thank you for noting that. Now with mower blades, when we're looking at the blades on a push mower, the curve or the flute, let's say, that's mostly what we're looking at, right? Yeah. You want to change them when that starts to flatten out.
That gives you your throw. I always thought it was a fluke.
No, a fluke is when you do something that you weren't supposed to do.
Yeah, but a fluke is also like, the arm on a whale.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Arm, flipper, fluke. Fuck, I don't know.
I don't know. This is a sidebar that I'm scared about.
Let's call David Attenborough.
You just made me El Buque Never. No, I think it is flute, dude.
All right, well, I'll Google that.
Yeah, my brother.
Write in and let us know. No, but yeah.
Let us know if you want to see BJ put a flute in his pussy.
It'd have to be a big one. Trombone.
All right, let's get back to the show.
Yeah.
Okay, so, did you ever sharpen your mower blades?
No.
I look.
They're so inexpensive.
They're like $2 or something.
Yeah, you buy them in a 10-pack, like a 10 set off eBay, and I think it's like $60 or something. Granted, like when they say 10 set, that's two blades in a set. Yeah. So you get 5 changes out of it. But fuck, the amount of like... It's just so much. It's literally easier to rattle them on than fucking sharpen them.
Yeah, but what we're trying to sort of relayed to everyone else is that it doesn't really matter if they're blunt.
No,
It's that curve, it's that flute.
that
what
gives you the throw.
Yeah, because, I mean, you can cut grass with anything, right?
Yeah.
But if you don't have that mad curve, then you ain't flicking that stuff back into the catcher.
No,
or whatever it is, side throwing or
Yeah.
for you mulching fans out there.
Yeah.
I guess, you know what? I guess if you're mulching, you probably don't need that flute as much.
No.
I can't comment too much. I've never messed with mulching on push mowers. I just cannot get the desired results. No. But we're not going to trip on that.
So you mentioned catches. So with the catches, I literally will, once every fortnight, I'll give them a hose out and, I'll give them a blow first to get all the finer stuff out so you just don't get a catcher full of mud. And then I'll give them a hose because the airflow in the catcher is what will let you catch more. And
super important.
Yeah, it's super important to have that nice and clean.
Same with your catch pros too, ladies and gents. If you got catch pros out there, over time the perf can get clogged.
Yeah.
And if you notice that it's not performing as well, give it a blow down, give it a quick gurney.
Yeah.
And open up all those holes again, and then once she can breathe again, booyaka shakalaka.
I blew all over mine today and opened up the holes.
That today yet.
Have you? No, I was.
Come on, man, we got ladies that listen. Didn't we get a lady review?
Yeah, there was someone's wife. What? I did. I blew my catch pro all day. Yeah,
okay.
Fuck. Whatever.
No, it's all good. I mean, okay.
That's about it. Oh, something you should keep on hand is some of that parachute cord. Just sometimes you'll just pull that fucking cord, and the handle will be in one hand, and
the mower won't be running.
No.
Or maybe sometimes it's running.
Yeah, sometimes it's running. But yeah, that's something to always keep on hand is an extra bit of that cord. It's a pretty easy process to refit that cord in. You need a 10 mil, I think a 10 mil socket or whatever, and that'll get you across the line.
Oh, it's been a while since I've done. I mean, my push mowers are old school. I still got a 195.
Yeah, I've got the 196 Heritage, and
those models didn't change that much, but these days with your 216s and all your sorts of, I'm just not up to speed with that. But oil changes on your push mowers, super important.
How long were you doing? Like, how often were you doing it?
Well, when I was doing, the 10 to 15 lawns a day, I was dumping the oil every week. It does become expensive. The reason why I was doing it is because, look, back then especially, it was way more dusty than what it is right now.
Yeah.
And, you just want everything nicely lubricated. It was hot, it was dusty, your oil's thinning out, all sorts of stuff. So I always like to just keep the fresh oil in there.
Yep.
There's an old, the guys over at Roy Gripsky and Sons taught me this. Oil is cheap, engines are expensive. So whilst you do want to be as efficient and keep, your everyday costs down, I think it's important to really consider, I think probably once a week is extreme, certainly once a fortnight if you're doing that much push mowing.
Yeah.
So let's say, I don't know the exact run times. Like, we didn't run hour meters.
No.
On our push mowers back then. I know lots of people are now, and I think it's fantastic.
Yeah.
But, if you were doing 10 or 15 lawns a day, what's that? Maybe like, I don't know how many actual mowing hours, but anywhere from 30 upwards.
Yeah.
I'd just be changing that oil.
Yeah. Well, I was
30
doing,
hours a week.
I was doing mine every 2 weeks. I think I just had that routine. I never had any issues, but each their own. Like you kind of know. But I did check my oil as I went through.
Yep.
One thing with oil changes too that I found really, really cool. I know you've got a different one to me, but was one of those pump packs.
Are you talking about my penis pump?
The Blowmatic.
Pump up the jam, pump it up.
The pump. So I got mine from Super Cheap Auto. I know GA have one.
I got mine from my dealer. and I believe it's a GA spares one, but I don't mess with it with the push mowers.
Oh, really? What do you do with your pushies?
So with the push, yeah. So I've got like a little style. Essentially, very first thing I do is I've got like they take. I mean, I'm assuming they all take 600 mils.
Yep, I'd say.
I've got like a little 600 mil jug sort of thing that is like the maddest height for the dipstick on my mower.
Yeah.
So the first thing I do is flip the dipstick out, tip that, and then I wouldn't even rattle the blades off. I would just hit them with a 17 mil spanner.
Yeah.
I got a short spanner, and it was just bang, 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 and I would do that while the oil is draining.
Okay.
Then I'd flip it back up, pour in my new oil, and then I would go through the air filter and then clean the machine down. So it became like, super quick process for me. And that's just what I did. But the pumps are great.
Yeah, well, just stick one end in, stick the other, and mine's got a bottle that it goes into. Is yours got the same? Mine's
huge, man. It's like
okay.
It's like a solid.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we use it for the zero turns.
My little bottle was like a 2 litre bottle, so it was like very compact. I could just shove it in.
Yeah, I think this one.
Give it a pump.
The one that I've got, I reckon, is for a car.
Jeez, it does look like a penis pump when you think about it, doesn't it? Tubes and stuff.
It's I don't think you'd want to pump it up.
Preload.
It'd explode before. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. So that just makes life a little bit easier. And when you're doing your nuts on your blades, replace your nuts as well.
Yeah, something that I don't know. I sort of like breaking the rules. Look, if you're buying, I think when they start flogging out, when they start thrashing out, just do it.
Yeah.
There's no way I would do it every time.
No.
But I'm still not, like, if there's people out there that do it every time, I'm completely cool with that.
I do it.
You do it every time?
I don't want a fucking mower blade flying off.
Oh, man, some of mine are like... yeah. But... No, they're still good, but yeah, they've done some hours.
You can tell when, like, obviously it's no good, but yeah, I just change them because you get them in the pack. So I think, I don't want to fucking hang on to all these bolts.
No, yeah. So look, that's if you're buying them in a bolt pack, then it absolutely makes sense.
Yeah.
It's kind of satisfying too. To get new
everything's
ones.
Brand new, blinging.
If you're just buying singles, out of the box at the mower shop, hey, hook us up. Then you do what you got to do to get through.
Cool, that's it. Do you want to quickly touch on chainsaws and then?
Are we finished with mowers?
Yeah,
because I wasn't.
Oh fuck! Sorry about that.
So okay, everyone. I think you want to be scraping the decks underneath of your push mowers. That will prevent your catching ability. I see the way you're looking at me. You don't do this much.
No.
Ever.
No. On the Skag, I haven't had to.
That's cool.
On the 21 inches.
Is that because Skags are so great?
Yeah, it is. Duh.
No, look, I always remember on my Hondas, I always had to.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. It's not something that you have to do every week.
No.
But, I mean, what's the point on having all that shit clogged up?
Although, like, your pushies, they were full shoot, weren't they?
Yeah, man, full shoot.
Yeah, you shouldn't have any fucking clogging.
No, but I mean, look, and then it's more relevant today with all of these little boo-boo shoots that you've got. But look, this is going to cross over into the zero turn conversation as well. So maybe we could save it for there.
Yeah, cool.
Anything else on the push mowers? Obviously, we have your oils, your blades, your air filters. They're the main things.
Spark plugs. I replace my spark plug every now and again in the pushy.
Yeah, look, I replace them. I just don't usually mess with them until I start having an issue.
Yeah.
I always have them on hand.
Yeah, I've always got that. I've got one in my glove box all the time.
Yeah, so, all right, cool. Well, moving on to... What are we moving on to, dude?
Do you want to do, like, chainsaws, and then we'll jump into the bigger...
Yeah, sure. Well, first, hand blowers.
Yeah.
I don't think, dudes, honestly, like, spark plug, air filter.
Yeah.
Garby.
Yeah. Just a normal. And then, again, with battery, like...
With
charge a
battery,
battery.
Just put it in the cool hand Luke pile and just don't even,
Yeah, I do enjoy a battery hand blower now.
Are you ever going to be pulling cords again for a blower?
Well, obviously for my backpack blower, but...
No, I'm just talking handies.
No, not for handies, no.
I will never pull cords again for a hand blower.
No way.
I haven't done it in so long.
No, I haven't. For about a year, I reckon.
Anyone out there that is using a petrol hand blower, that's cool and everything. But if there's one piece of equipment... No, it's not like that. It's just that it's like the power's there. The runtime, is not excellent. But if you're doing 10 lawns a day, you can easily use a hand blower.
Yeah.
It's when you start doing like bigger hedge jobs and cleanups and stuff where the hand blower, you have to look at your run times then.
Yep.
But if you're just doing maintenance and you're just blowing off some paths at, jobs, for sure.
And he's a good one.
Okay, so let's have a look at chainsaws.
Yes.
Most important thing on a chainsaw.
It's definitely blades.
Did you mean to say chain?
The chain with the blades.
The chain gang, man.
Chain gang, man.
Yeah, so definitely chains.
Yeah.
Now, I want to say something. If you don't mind.
Are we getting married?
Is that legal now?
Yeah.
Lucky Josh isn't still here. And I know you can share this experience with me.
Yeah.
We got the Bush Ranger battery multi-tool chainsaw and the little... now, this is domestic gear, right?
Yeah.
So I don't even... I think the pulsar attachment retails for like $120.
Yeah, something like that.
The saw... I forget now because I bought all my stuff in kits. But, And I don't do like a huge amount of chainsawing, but I've had this stuff for 18 months and I've done a couple of significant jobs. I have not messed with those chains at all.
I haven't done anything to the chains yet. And I did like a whole winter of pruning just the most, like 15 trailer loads of shit out of one side.
It's
just
crazy.
With the pole saw and the chainsaw just going hard out.
So it's been a little while since I've had to mess with it.
Yeah.
But look, I do know with your chainsaws and your chainsaw maintenance, I'm not going to give everyone like a whole heap of tips because it was something that I was still learning. But Rusty and I would watch YouTube videos of like the exact way to sharpen a chainsaw, a chainsaw chain, and when you follow those steps, boy, you can get that thing going good. Like just with a file.
Yeah. See, I
don't get me wrong, I get amongst the Dremel.
Yeah, well, see, being part of the Dremel crew.
Dremel crew.
But Dremel actually has a kit specifically for chainsaws. It's like $40. You get all the bits with it. You get the head to do everything, and it's really quick, really easy.
And once again, you're just touching it, right?
Yeah,
you're not sitting there going,
taking the burrs off. But look, to be honest, the amount I've put those chains through, I think I'm just going to replace them.
I think they're pro cut chains.
Yeah.
I should probably know more just because I've done some work with Bush Ranger. But just because it's domestic gear, we don't discuss that stuff.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think I told the story. I can't remember if I told the story on the podcast, but I did the big bamboo job out the back.
Yeah.
I thought to myself, I'm gonna bust this chainsaw or I'm gonna bust this chain, and when I stopped to have a ciggy, I just was looking at the price of the attachment that I actually paid, and when I saw it was like $120 or whatever it was, I was like, man, if I bust this thing on this job and I can never use it again, I'll happily just go and pick up another one.
Yeah.
You can pay $40 for some steel chains.
30-foot bamboo, that shit was like a forest.
Oh man, it was gnarly. The amount. It wasn't the amount of, there was the most insane amount of cuts, but it wasn't really the amount of cuts that was worrying, it's because it was so tall that when you cut it, when halfway, she starts to split and tear.
Yeah.
And then she pinches your chain.
Yeah.
And then not to mention your chain's just getting filled with muck when you're hitting bamboo. Like this wasn't dry bamboo, this was wet bamboo. But look, your chain maintenance is very important.
Yeah.
There's nothing worse than quoting a tree job and not being prepared, and you're sitting there,
I think it becomes dangerous to a point if you've got a chain that's not sharp and you're just smoking it up.
There's just nothing more satisfying than just, like having that awesome chain. It's being like,
just beep, beep, beep.
Hey, you, fuck off. And then something else that I think is very important, BJ, is when you finish your big jobs and stuff like that, is just cleaning that thing right down.
I made the mistake of I chopped down a heap of yuccas, and it was for my in-laws, and I was just like, I was in a rush. It was after a full day. Put the cover back on, put it in the case, put it in the back. I was like, I'll get to that.
Well, you know what? So that is okay if you come back to it.
But I didn't come back to it.
Yeah, if you don't come back to it.
I didn't come back to it, and everything inside was just, it was rusting, and it was just caked, and I was like, what have I done to myself?
I think definitely cleaning the machines. I know, I've had people borrow my chainsaws.
Yeah.
And when they return them, you're just like, what the hell? At least take the case off and just clean it. It doesn't take that long.
Nah.
And when you've got the little oil chamber leaking through it all, it'll crust up.
Yeah, because when you get too much muck in there, it sucks the oil out, and then it turns into just a chain bukkake.
And so I think along with the general cleaning out the carbies, looking at the plugs, cleaning chainsaws is just super important.
Yeah.
If you're talking about a bipper dipper, you don't have to really clean it down, but your chainsaw, you want to clean that thing down. Look, anyone that's looking to learn how to sharpen your chains, there's some great content on YouTube, some old school American content.
Hundreds of videos.
And it's old school. Some of it is just with a file, but once you get the angle and really just follow what they do, it'll change your life if you use a chainsaw a lot.
Yeah. See, I don't do a lot of chainsaw. I would do in winter. At one of my villages, we will do some solid weeks of chainsawing. It's almost worth just buying a new chainsaw, especially.
I hear you, but I cracked my bushranger one out the other day because I had a tree that started dying at home, and it was nice and clean. I was a good boy, cleaned it from the last time, and the chain was pretty sharp, and mate, I knocked a whole tree down in no time.
That big one with the bushy. Oh, nice, very nice.
Yeah, I mean, it was probably that round?
Yeah. It was a decent one.
Yeah, knocked it down, no dramas, cut it all up, put it in the trailer, and I mean, if you weren't prepared for it, you'd be stuff-assing around, I needed to get to that job.
Yeah.
I needed to get that tree down over the weekend. So,
that's about it for chainsaws. We're on to blowers.
Hand blowers? We did that.
Yeah, backpack blowers, the real blowers.
Oh, backpack blowers.
It's pretty much the same all the way around.
Look, I don't think I can't even suggest to them that they look at their plugs because I haven't done mine in almost a decade.
Yeah, no. I think everything is quite simple, but it's just getting in that routine of just checking it, because if you don't check it and something is if your air filter's clogged,
I tell you what's kind of semi-important on the blowers, on your backpack blowers. I don't know much about the still range, but I know with the Shindewa and even the Bush Ranger, where the fuel lines are, where the fuel bubble, the primer bubble is, you can trash them just by getting your hands in there to pump it. And I know I've seen Russell do it. He'll get tire wire out and he'll just make sure that all the fuel lines and stuff are attached.
Yep.
There's nothing worse than you accidentally knock them off and you hit the primer bubble and then it's just like, hello hand, sha sha.
Or you're walking with the backpack on and you feel something cold running down your back, or down the back of your legs, and you've got a little bit of fuel just dribbling on you.
Like your poison bottles, eh?
Fuck! Don't talk to me about poison.
It's tough trying to poison in Brisbane at the moment with these bloody storms.
Man, like 45 litres I dropped on a property the other day on a commercial site. Fuck, 2 hours later, it pissed down. 30% chance of rain. Thanks, fucking weather station.
All right, so zero-turn mowers, man. Now, this is probably where I spend the most amount of time at the moment.
Yep.
What are, like, obviously you got your Tiger Cat, you got your V-Ride. What are some of the more important things that you're doing on a regular basis?
These ones are easy because we've got time, like hour meters and things like that. So oil every 50 hours, and then every 150 hours you do your filter as well.
Oil filter?
Oil filter, yeah. Blade maintenance is huge. No point running fucking dull blades. I've got the blade assist, so that's pretty easy. You can find that at catchpro.com.
Yes, you can. That's not a cheap plug, is it?
No, that's not good.
No.
No.
We don't have any in stock at the moment.
Oh no!
They're in the air. Well, hopefully they'll be in the air
By
soon.
the time this goes, do you think there might be?
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
All right, well, walk me through the blade sharpening process.
So normally,
your blade sharpening process.
my blade sharpening process is pretty easy. I've got a mow jack, and I'll do both of them at the same time.
Can you explain to everyone what a mow jack is?
So a
Is
mow
this some
jack,
sort of gangster thing?
yeah, it sounds like it. That's my crew, y'all. The mow jack is like a hand crank, or I've actually got a ratchet on it.
Oh my gosh, that's so clever.
Yeah, thanks, man. But you can set it up for your zero turns. It's got two little nests, I'll call them, for your front wheels. And you get lots of lift. I just get under there and I bang those fucking things out with a rattle gun.
Yep.
And then I go inside and I throw them across the blade assist, which is just what it sounds like. It assists in getting the right angle on your blades by using a bench grinder. It's a good little setup. It takes like 10 minutes per machine.
Yep. So how many blade sharpens are you getting out of a pair of blades?
So it depends on the blade.
Yep.
So Skag OEMs is normally what I run. I've got some Hurricanes on in the 32-inch V-Ride at the moment. Normally with the Skags.
Because is that a Marbane steel? Not a Marbane? Or?
Yeah, no, it's a Marbane.
Yep, okay. It's a mad hardened steel.
Yeah, and it makes it a little bit harder to sharpen.
Do they have a step in them at all?
No.
At all? Okay, that's
Not
good.
really, no.
No, Skags don't bloody need it. They cut low as shit.
Yeah.
But what I have found, if anyone out there is looking at a blade assist, I have found it to be a little bit challenging with a step blade.
Oh, okay.
But something to note is the cutting edge on a zero turn bar blade is probably only like 100 to 150 mil.
Yeah.
The rest of it is actually irrelevant, and you'll see that when you've got a pair of worn blades.
Yeah.
You'll see where it's been cutting.
Yeah. So the Skag OEMs, I get about 90 hours out of those.
That's awesome.
That's fucking incredible.
Yeah.
So you do pay a little bit more, but like I'll sharpen those maybe like 4 or 5 times. So I actually did the numbers on the OEMs, and I got 90 hours out of them, and it's about the same like for the V-Ride and for the Tiger Cat.
Yeah. No, 90 hours is a lot of mowing.
Yeah. So that took them right back to spoons. I could have sharpened them again and still used them though. Like there was no damage to the blade itself. It just wasn't
So once again, we need to let everyone know that it's not necessarily how sharp that blade is. I think it certainly helps.
Yeah,
but it's
like
that flute.
Sharp. Yeah.
As
well, that's it, yeah.
Like if you've got no throw, it'll still cut.
Yeah.
But you won't be able to discharge it, and what that it's going to do is just going to create, like your deck is just going to be clogged and it's just going to be bogging down. And when you're bogging down your machine, you get belt slippage and all sorts of shit going on. So sharp blades is very important.
Yeah.
But the flute is just as important.
Yeah, so I've got a set of Hurricanes on from you.
Yep.
So I'll see how long they last. And
yeah, I mean, we're getting good feedback, good results.
Yeah.
I've been running them for ages.
Yeah.
And, you know, obviously there's times where some of them thrash out quicker than others.
Yeah.
But it depends. It depends what I'm hitting.
Yeah, it depends what you're hitting. Depends on your soil conditions. Like you said, the guys in Western Australia must chew through blades.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's good for business.
Yeah. So, obviously you have your blade maintenance. What about your daily? What sort of daily maintenance are you doing?
Daily maintenance,
cleaning the
probably
decks?
The biggest thing is blowing down the decks because you don't want debris sitting on those pulleys. That's probably one of the biggest ones. After I'm finished, I blow the deck.
It's story time again.
Oh.
Does everyone know what happened to me and my V-Ride at the 40 acres? Tell everyone why it's very important to clean the grass off your deck, especially if you're using a stand-on.
So I was coming home from a job and this is when Ben was doing a little bit of extra work at the 40 acres. You were doing the outside, weren't you?
Yep.
Yeah. So
the outside hadn't been mowed in a year,
and it was dry as shit at the moment. It was
winter.
It was winter. Grass is like 4 or 5 foot in some places. So I actually took a little quick video. My phone sits on a holder, and I just said to my officer, I said, "Grab it." Here comes Ben, because I could just see this cloud coming out onto the road. So he's filmed on the way past. And about 10 minutes later, I get this phone call. Me fucking mower's on fire. He's got grass sitting on top of the deck, and it's actually caused. Was it on top of the deck or was it on top of the?
So what was happening was, I was mowing super high grass on my V-Ride, and there was a lot of discharged clippings.
Yeah.
Dry clippings, and so when you've got your deck. Whatever, I was mowing up high, but relative to the piles of grass I was driving over, it was like I had a bobcat and I was just moving big piles of grass, and so they would accumulate on top of the deck. And then what's happened is when you're using a stand-on, you got your exhaust right at the front end, and I was out on the main road section. And when you're on a 40-acre property, you are ages away from your rig at any given point. And this time, luckily, I was on a main road. Well, I don't even know if it was that lucky.
It's a main road.
But, I could see some, smoke. And I remember just being I'll be belt slipping. And then I was like, no, it's fire. And, I didn't know what to do. It went from 0 to 10, so quick. I actually drove out into the middle of the road, a main road, and was literally help me. And people were actually beeping me, going you fuckwit, driving around. And this one awesome dude stopped, and he had a fire extinguisher.
Yeah, that's so lucky.
And he was a tradie, and he's just got out, and he's just and he's like, "You right, man?" I was like, "Yeah, man, thanks." And he took off pretty quick, and then I turned around, and the little spot where it all originated was just blazing. And then eventually this other dude, I thought this whole I was actually sitting there thinking I'm going to be on the fucking news tonight. This other dude pulled over with a towel and I just straight off got the shirt off. Hey, we were just whipping this stuff. But it was a proper, man, once we got that out, I needed to chill myself out, so I went to drive back around, and it started up again on the mower.
Fuck.
So really, really, really important. When we were on the 40 acres, we do it we clean our decks at Smoko,
Yeah.
and then we clean our decks at the end of the day.
Yeah.
That's how important it is on those big jobs. And as a dude, the fire that I started is nothing compared to some of the photos that I saw of other contractors' experiences.
Once you put up your story on LMCA, fuck, there was a few...
You actually saw some proper catastrophes.
Some big, I did, fucking hectares,
Yeah, like someone wiped out like a whole, like a hectare of grass.
That's crazy.
So, look, super, super, super important.
Yeah.
Obviously, your oil changes, going back to what we said on the zero turns, oil is cheap. Engines are not cheap.
Same with grease.
So
very, very
all the grease
cheap.
points. So if you've got a walker, you might need to save up like maybe $5,000 so you can get enough grease.
Yeah, they do have a few points.
25.
25, is it?
Yeah. And that man, 25, that's excessive.
Yeah.
But once again, I think if you're doing it regularly,
Yeah.
you get into a routine, it's easy to handle.
Yeah. Are any of those points, can you overgrease any of those?
Look, I don't know. I have had a walker briefly, and I wasn't the sole user of it.
Yeah, fair enough.
It was a bit of a pig anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you can probably overgrease all of those areas.
Yeah.
But like I said, 1 or 2 pumps every week going over a machine.
Yeah.
When you're talking about height adjuster pivot points where grease nipple, it's not like you need to hammer them.
No.
Like on our
Just
Skags, we can do 5 or 10 pumps every week in the spindles.
You could do whatever you want.
In the pulleys, but when you move over to the other grease nipples, it's like 1 or 2 pumps.
Yep.
Because you just don't need...
Because that's actually patented to Skag.
I never knew that.
Yeah. So you can't overgrease those spindles.
And they actually encourage you to load them with grease because what it does is it pushes all the old muck out.
Yeah.
And
you see the quality of grease that comes out of them. It's crazy. But, yeah.
So, along with your oil change...
Oh, bukkake.
Damn! Can we keep that in?
Yeah, we can keep that in.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's less work for you to edit.
Oh, look, man, it's still, we've had rain, but my allergies have got me.
It's getting hot here, man.
In here, or just in
the Catch Pro shed?
We got all the doors shut, the fans off. We got these 2 big lights shining down on us. We're close quarters.
We got some durries going.
Yeah, we got a bit of a Dutch happening.
So, continuing on with the zero turns. Now, when we're talking about hydros,
ooh,
I think it's important to... What's our motto here?
You got to do what you got to do, or know what you don't know. They're
the ones, man. So know what you don't know. Okay. Now, I haven't felt confident enough to do a hydro service. When I've watched videos and content, I'm like, oh, okay, cool. But then I've talked to some other professionals, mechanics that do this stuff, and there's a few variables there that I'm just like, you know what? I think I'm just going to take that to a mechanic, and let them deal with it and just pay the money, because that's something that's really important.
Oh, 100%. And
so,
to replace hydros, especially with pump and wheel motors.
Especially to replace them prematurely.
Yeah.
It's one thing if they're fucked.
Yeah.
But if they're sweet and you fuck them, I think, it's just no one can win from that.
No, I would love to have a go at it. I would love to be able to do basically everything myself on the machines.
Yep.
And I'm thinking about doing it myself because I'm getting mixed info. Like, some people are saying it's super easy. I've watched a lot of YouTube videos and it looks pretty easy. But
the only variable that I've heard is the air bubbles giving you a misreading.
Okay.
And when you're talking about pressure building up, later on, and busting seals and all sorts of these things, that's what makes me super nervous.
Yeah, see, now you've made me nervous. So I'm gonna have to book in.
Not only are we trying to educate our audience, but man, we got to educate each other.
Yeah, well, you put the fear
fear of fucking seals blowing onto me.
Yeah. I think with the hydro service, I'm not recommending it
Yeah.
for everyday contractors. If you've got mechanical history and, you know, like, you've got your head around it,
Yeah.
I think for sure. But now, obviously, this is going to be mower specific, but when are we what are the sort of service intervals for hydros? Let's just use your Tiger Cat. What is it? 10cc, 12cc pump and wheel motor?
Yeah. So 250 hours.
Is your first service?
Yeah.
And then, do you know what the intervals are after that? Or is it just every 250?
I think it's 250.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you should be able to get, you know, like a whole season of mowing before
Yeah.
you have to even mess with it.
Yeah, depending.
Yeah.
Like, I've got 2 machines, so my load is over 2, so...
Yeah. Which helps.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so air filters on
Easy.
all, but they're super important,
Yeah,
right?
very important. But they're super easy, especially like, you know, even if you're on the road and you do a real dusty like acreage or something, you just tap it out. So if you've got another job on, or you get your blower, stick your blower on one end and just discharge as much of the shit as you can. Then you go on to your next job. When you get home, drop the air compressor over it.
Air compressor is like the best thing.
Yeah.
These days with like the Donaldson setups,
Yep.
it's nowhere near as important as what it was like even 5 years ago.
The Country Clipper, I used to do that.
Motherfucker on that Kohler engine that I had.
Oh, you had the Kohler.
I had
I had the Kawasaki.
You had the
Yeah.
Quacker, yeah. The Kohler. Oh man, it. I'm not going to put all the blame on Kohler, but like just the way that cap was in the area that you had to.
Get the nuts.
Oh man,
Nah, dude.
it was horrible.
Look, the
These days on the V
Kawasaki.
ride, it's just like fucking boom, boom.
yeah, pop, tap, tap, tap.
You know, no
And away you
dramas.
go.
But that motherfucking Kohler.
The Kawasaki is much easier, like on the Clipper, than what the Kohler was. Like you literally just lift up the back, take.
It's something that like all the engine manufacturers, like, yeah, I'd say, yeah, probably like, you know, within the last 5 years,
Yeah.
they made that a heck of a lot easier. And these days, like I think on the Super Z, when we did the hyperdrive demo, there's actually like a dial.
Like a quality reader.
Yeah. So like it'll actually tell you when your filter. I'd probably have to go back and watch my own YouTube
I
video.
know what you're
But
talking about.
essentially, yeah, it's like a little dial.
I don't know if it's just the hyperdrive. I think it might be the
No, it's that specific engine.
Vanguard? Is it the Vanguard?
No, it's Kawasaki.
Is it?
Look, Vanguard probably have something now.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's one of the Kawasaki engines, which you'll see across all the brands
Yeah.
now. And yeah, basically, when it gets to the point that you need to clean that filter, you can clean it out and press a button, and it'll reset that.
That's handy.
That's so awesome.
It's really handy.
So yeah,
ZTRs. So what have we got? Grease. Check your belts. Make sure your belts have got no nicks. And with this zero turn, always have spares. Always have spares. You don't know when you're going to fucking get a stick stuck in your pulley, and you don't always know until it's too late.
it's like you read my mind.
We do that all the time.
I know your body.
We on the Tiger Cat, I had a rock. It was jammed in a pulley, and I was like, "Fuck, something's wrong with my Tiger Cat." And I rang William Hartford actually. And he's like, "Bro, you've got something in your pulley." I'm like, "I've been under there. I can't see anything." And then I used it the next day, and of course I broke the belt. And I fucking got underneath there. He goes, "You got to get under there, man. You got to get under there. There's something stuck in there." He knew straight away. There was a fucking rock, and it wasn't a small rock.
And was it wedged in the pulley?
Yeah, in the actual where like the belt, and it was a toothed belt as well. So it was just when I was like,
I mean, on the
I had to ring
48
him and be like, "Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I
on
was
the
on
40
the
acres, man. I mean, geez, you take for granted, you know, like even the big gum tree sticks. You know, like sometimes you're like, man, I just got off my machine. You hit them, and you know,
Yeah.
and then later on you see like you'll be blowing the deck off, and you'll just see like this big, like proper branch stick just sitting there rubbing on all your belts. You're like,
Yeah.
oh.
Yeah.
So super important to be covering all of those
Yeah.
points. And what about your arch nemesis right now, tyres?
So not just what the fuck is 8? I think 8 or 9 tires this year. I don't even know if it's this year, like this season. I've just been busting tires and not busting them, just getting shit in them. And one now that I got a flat and I reversed down my driveway with a flat. Now it won't seal, so the bead's cooked or something. So I got to get a replacement for that. But yeah,
I mean, there's not a great deal you can necessarily do to prevent it.
The things you can do is always have a tyre patching kit and having tyre goo. What's the stuff?
So it's funny that you bring that up.
Yeah,
I'll be back in a second.
Yeah, come back to us, Benny.
So I got this stuff. This is a fresh bottle. I've been using it for ages. I got this down at my local dealer. Now, for everyone that is only listening, this is called Tyre Shield. For the people that are viewing it, this is what the bottle looks like. Your dealer might not stock it.
Yeah.
But they can access it through GA Spares.
Okay.
Every dealer's got an account. Maybe some Husky and dealers and stuff like that won't, but they should stock something similar. This product is really good.
Yeah.
It can also be used as a preventative. So this is what I use. That's a fresh bottle for now.
Upcoming season.
Yeah.
So I normally I just use the goo from Super Cheap Auto, but I'm going to give that a go, I think, and just put it in all my tyres as a preventative.
Yeah. I mean, it's it's going to save you. But also let's talk tyre pressures on jobs. Because before we really got our Skags, we were kind of, it wasn't something, it wasn't something that I ever looked at.
No.
But we were running our tyres like 30, 40 PSI or something.
Yeah. I think my clipper was pretty much up there.
Yeah, so the recommended is 8 to 12 pounds.
Yeah.
8 to 12 PSI.
15 because I'm a thick boy.
Because you're a naughty boy?
No.
Oh, no, because you're thick.
Because I'm a thick as and yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, Rusty on the Bush Ranger, he runs them at 8.
Oh, true.
And look, it probably hinders your top end a little.
Yeah.
But one thing I've noticed is way less grass rippage.
Oh,
because the mower's sagging a little bit, the tyre's sagging a little bit, you're getting that little bit more surface area of grip on the actual ground.
Yeah.
But we've had really good results. Now on your 32s and stuff like that, people talk about the little tires ripping up grass.
Yeah.
I think it's inevitable no matter what. But certainly on those machines, I'd be looking at running them way down the recommended, the 8 to 12 pounds.
Yeah.
Just so that you're limiting as much as you can.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think it's inevitable.
That's with that. I run mine quite low on the 32s. Just it is what it is. Like if you've got these little pointy tires, you just drop them as low as you can without riding the rims. And then you'll get less grass tearage. But tires, man. I've just had if you can keep a bearing kit on board for your trailer as well. That's one thing. I saw a post come up on LMCA. A guy was talking about it, and bearing buddies are another thing.
I saw that conversation you were having. Yeah,
cheap way to keep your bearings greased because your trailer is pretty important. So that's a bit of maintenance for your trailer, and I think like every 6 months you should do the grease in those. I think that's a good. I'd never done it before, and I didn't have a choice. And when I went to Super Cheap, there's actually a bearing shortage like everything else. They only had 1 or 2 on the shelf.
I can only imagine.
I got the last one to suit my trailer, so I was really lucky.
Yeah.
But that's something keep on top of your trailer as well.
So in terms of spares, like on hand, you pretty much want to have belts, blades, plugs, air filters spare on hand.
Yeah.
like, it's not the easiest thing to have that stuff, you know, because
It adds up.
you'll be spending money,
Yeah,
yeah.
it adds up.
But
it
at
doesn't
least-
cost you as much as a day off.
Hey, that's such a great point, man. You know, like,
That's how I always think about things. Like
that
with
must be why you're so bloody successful.
maybe. Nah, with the bearing thing especially. Like I went to my first super cheap auto and they didn't have any. So instead of being like, oh, they don't have them, I was like, fuck this. If I don't get a wheel bearing, I don't go out tomorrow until I can get one. That's going to cost me a couple $100 in the morning, and I'll be behind. I won't get home till late, and it'll just wreck my whole day. So I shot off to another super cheap auto, and I got the last one on the shelf. So that $70 and 20 minutes extra driving just put me in a good spot for the next day to make some money back.
Yeah. No, I mean, look, great points. And this, like, all of that story and everything, all the sort of everything that you just laid out, that's a direct result of experiences that you've lived recently.
Yeah. Like
so
Monday.
So this isn't, this isn't someone saying like, oh, you should do this and you should do that. It's like, hey man, don't be like me.
Yeah.
Be prepared.
Yeah, be prepared. That's it. Be prepared for everything, That's the same with all of this shit. If you can keep ahead of most of these things, you will have issues where, like,
there's some things that you can't help.
you'll blow a spindle or something like that, and that's something you probably can't fix in the field, so you will be out. But break a belt, replace a belt, back in action, 20 minutes down.
Yeah.
Not a full day. Like,
There is one thing that I'll note. If you've got a 0-turn mower and you're breaking belts on a regular basis, you've got something wrong there.
Yeah,
because belts don't just break. Like, but even like you said on your Skag,
yeah.
you broke a belt, and there was a reason behind it. It's because you had a rock stuck in your pulley. So whether it's the bearings are flogging out, or whatever you've got, there's an idle or pulley that needs to be readjusted, whatever the case is, if you're blowing belts on a regular basis, then it's time to have a look at, okay, why is this happening?
Yeah.
And sometimes you can't diagnose all these things. You might just have to take it to a dealer, which is cool. And, nip that in the bud, like, as soon as you can.
Yeah. Yeah, it's no good letting things progress, because normally if there's a small issue, it's going to turn into a big issue. Like, things don't just go away. Well, sometimes you might get lucky and
sometimes you get
maybe
lucky.
the rock might have fallen out of that fucking pulley and I wouldn't have broken that belt.
Well, obviously,
But-
I mean, look, it's not like, even now that you've lived through that, it's not like you're checking your pulleys every day.
No.
But, certainly, I know, like, I look over the V-Ride probably once a week, to
Yeah,
be
I
honest.
always look over the belts, because it's a simple process. Lift the lid, have a look, look for debris.
Mr. Bonnet Man.
No, fucking whatever. I got a V-Ride
I
too.
don't have a fucking bonnet on my V-Ride.
Yeah, but you can just stick your head under and have a goose.
Yeah, but my back really hurts, so I can't lean down.
Fucking
Nah,
hell.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So, I mean, look, I reckon this pretty much wraps up.
Yeah.
Did you have any more notes?
The only thing that I can say with 0 turns again is log your hours. Like, if you do a service, so the way I do it,
Or get a real mower with an hour meter.
Nah, but we've got hour meters, but they're not.
Oh, sorry. No.
Fuck, you jumped ahead. So, the way I log my services is I've got a whiteboard.
Tell them why I'm a jerk.
You jerk.
Even if you have an hour meter, you need to log your hours.
Yeah. And you know what? The whiteboard I love, because I'll be walking out the door and I'll see my hours logged on the wall. I go, fucking, I did that at, 50 hours. I've got another 50 hours. And by the time, you're ready to do it again, you're looking at your machine, you're looking at your hours on the wall, and you barely ever will forget to do a service.
Can I share what I do?
Nah, fuck off. Yeah, nah, go for it.
So I have, if you're not in sync, like obviously on our machines, on our Skags, we got the Tiger Eye.
Yeah.
So it'll tell you your service intervals. Now, if you're in sync with those, then that's sweet. If you're out of sync, which is when you need to log them, like you're doing,
Yeah.
with your little whiteboard thing, that's cool, man. I reckon that's really cool. What I've done is I just have these stickers. They're just label stickers that we'd use for Catch Pro. Essentially, if we do an oil change, let's say it's at 150 hours, so we will say changed 150, next change 200 hours. And I just stick that right on the tower of the V-Ride. And I know I'm quite often always looking down at the hour meter.
Yep.
So I'll know as soon as that clicks over to 200 hours, I've got to drop the oil again.
That's a good idea too.
They're the only ideas.
That's a really good. That's a really good idea.
So yeah, I mean, look, hopefully that's good stuff to share. I reckon we're almost ready to put a bow on this, but can I share something that happened?
Yeah, of course you can.
So I was listening to this week's episode of Aussie Lawn Stars, which by the time you hear what we're saying now will be outdated. Mm-hmm. But anyhow, I was listening to the interview that Gary Ashton did with Mean Green Mowers.
Yep.
And I had tried to reach out to them in the past. I'm not sure if they had distribution when I was trying to reach out, and I kind of got over it because I've been busy. But listening to the episode, I thought, these Mean Green Mowers, it's pretty awesome. They're here now. So, talked to Gary. He got me the contact. Gave the guy a buzz, and they seemed really cool. Like I did tell them straight out, I'm not looking to purchase a Mean Green mower.
Yep.
It's more of like hey, we have an audience that would probably find this really interesting. And I mean, look, nothing's set in stone, but looks like we might be able to do a big demo day.
Yeah.
Which could be really cool.
Yeah, definitely.
So we'll wait and see how that progresses. But if there's anyone out there that's looking for a Mean Green mower, leave your comments below.
Yeah.
Alternatively, check out the Mean Green mowers, I guess their website. I haven't even been there yet. Or listen to the Aussie Lawn Stars podcast with Gary Ashton.
Gary got real in depth. It was it was a good listen.
I really enjoyed that episode.
Yeah.
It's looking to the future, but the future is inevitable.
Yeah, it is.
With all the brands that are doing the R&D work for just like Skag, for example, huge presence in the petrol industry.
Yeah.
And now they've got like all these mad models that they're doing. They even know, like, man, if we don't fucking change in the next 5 years, we ain't going to be in business.
Yeah. So it's going to be interesting what happens in the future. We'll all end up with batteries. So strapped to our back and strapped to our ass.
All right. Is there anything that you want to add to the app? That's a wrap.
That's a wrap, bruh.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us. Don't forget to leave us your comments. Hit the like button. Leave us a review. Don't forget to direct your hate mail to @TBL Property Maintenance. He bloody loves it.
Bring it.
Have you had any hate mail?
None.
Neither.
No.
We did have some slapdick. Write some comments on you not using a guard.
Oh yeah. Look, that's fucking neither here nor there. Fucking each their own. But don't.
You gonna punch him in the dick when you see him next?
Nah. I'll give him a hug because he's obviously pretty sad.
Yeah, I mean, look, we're just having a bit of fun with it.
That's it.
It's not like I really go around punching people in the dicks.
Saying it.
I don't know why. It's just when I put a plural on it, it sounded funny.
Yeah, multiples.
Well, thank you very much for joining us this week. And as always, peace out.
Yo.